Hey, what's up? I found a cool video on YouTube, a game that I hadn't seen, which was played between Botvinnik and Max Euwe, both former world champions. And this was played in 1963, and it was some kind of a TV event. And they played a blindfold game. Here's a picture of them from the video. I will link to the video down in the description. And yeah, it seems like they had about probably 10 minutes for the game, something like that. And yeah, a blindfold game. They would simply speak out their move, and there was a TV commentator that moved the pieces on a wooden board and did some light commentary. It's in Dutch, I believe. Well, it is in Dutch. But yeah, a game I hadn't seen, and I'm quickly gonna have a look at this game. So they drew who would play white and who would play black, and on the TV show, and Botvinnik got the white pieces, and he opened with pawn to d4. Now Max played knight to f6, c4, e6. And they both announced their moves in German. So here Botvinnik would go spring b1, c3, c3, something like that. Yeah, my German is not good, sorry about that. Okay, Euwe played bishop to b4, this is the Nimzo Indian. e3, the Rubinstein variation, and now c5. Knight f3, b6. Euwe wants to put the bishop on b7. Bishop to d3. Bishop to b7. Castles and castles. And now knight to a4. And the idea of this move is that this guy is a little bit vulnerable. And at the moment, we're threatening to play h3. And once we do that, this pawn will be hanging. So therefore, Euwe played queen to e7. This adds protection to c5. So after a3, which was played, we can put the bishop on a5. Now this was and is theory, and probably both players knew about this position. Here, Botvinnik took on c5. The most often played move is rook to b1. With about 22 games in the database I'm looking at right now, and the computer agrees that rook b1 is the best move. But d takes c5 was played. And while this looks good, black seems to be solving most of his problems. White now took on c5, knight takes c5. And this can be done because queen takes c5, which was played, is followed up with pawn to b4. Now if you simply retreat with the queen, let's say you go to c7 or something like that, I will take on a5 and I will have the bishop pair. Okay, you can retake on a5, but white will have a nice position, put the bishop on b2, nice diagonal, and white will have an advantage. But Euwe, he solved his problems quite nicely here. He took on f3, bishop takes f3. Okay, you have to take back with the queen, and now this is hanging. But Euwe had an ace up his sleeve, and mind you, again, this is a blindfold game, so very nice tactics. Queen e5. So they're both hitting a rook, and white now took on a5. If he had taken on a8, black has several moves, but one of them is simply the Zwischenzug or in between move, bishop to c7. Get the bishop out of harm's way, and with threatening mate on h2, and then next move we take the rook on a1, and black will be up a piece. White will have some pawns as compensation, but this should be good for black. So therefore Botvinnik took on a5. Now both parties capture the rook. Queen takes a1 and queen takes a8. And okay, black can play knight c6, but first he played queen to c3. Okay, getting queen off the first rank, so you're not being hit with any Tempo moves with the bishop and forcing white to move his bishop to e2. Now knight c6, this hits the queen, so only one move, queen b7, and now rook to the open file, rook to b8. Again, only one move, the queen doesn't have a role on a6, so queen to c7. And yeah, black can probably take on a5, and this should be an equal position, even though white has the bishop pair. Black can quickly drum up an attack on the c4 pawn. This should be equal, but Euwe played queen to c2. This more or less forces bishop f3. And this actually gives white some chances of an advantage here. Now, Euwe wants to play rook to b1, attack the bishop, and give white some back rank problems. But you have to take care of your own back rank problem first. If you move the rook, then queen to c8, and you can't interpose on the back rank. So therefore, Euwe played a dual purpose move, h5. This enables knight g4, and also more importantly, it gives luft for the king on h7. Botvinnik took on c6, and this forces black's answer as the rook is now undermined. So first rook b1, and yeah, here you the best white can do is bishop f3, which he did. Black takes on c1 and g3. Here, Botvinnik did not, Euwe did not play the best move, but it's already tricky. He played knight g4. And this is actually a blunder, but since this was a blindfold game, I'm sure Botvinnik would have seen this in a normal game. But white can win here. Can you find the win for white? Bring up the variation. Knight g4 actually is a tactically flawed move. So when we solve the tactics, it's always, you know, the forcing moves, check, captures, and threats. And if you simply calculate the forcing moves here, we will find out, okay, we can give a check, that's a forcing move. King here, what's a forcing move after that? Well, how about another check? And that's precisely the winning line. Queen b8 check, king h7, and bishop e4 check. The queen takes, but now we take the rook on c1. And since we were always checking, black didn't have time to take on f1, and this is completely winning for white. We're even threatening to exchange queens on the next move. Unfortunately for Botvinnik, he did not see this, or he wanted to be nice to Euwe on .tv, I don't know. But it took on g4. And after rook takes f1, so king takes, h takes g4. Here I think, okay, I mean Botvinnik can play on. He can play queen d8 check, king h7, give a check here, and then take the pawn on g4. And in a normal game, he would probably, you know, try to play this on a pawn up. But I guess since this was like sort of an exhibition event on .tv, he took on a7, and a draw was agreed after the further moves queen f3, and now the queen will simply keep perpetual on d1 and f3. So a draw in the match between these champions of the game, world champions Max Euwe and Michael Botvinnik. So yeah, please do check out the video. It's quite cool. We don't have many events like these days. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this little video. See you in the next one. Bye bye.